Hey, Ken Carlson here with Country Guitar Chops, and what I want to talk about on this video is sticky guitar necks. Just recently launched a couple new YouTube lessons here, previews for a couple of videos I did. And June, a young lady guitar player emailed me, and we were talking about the videos and what have you. Anyway, she mentioned that she bought a 52 reissue Telecaster and likes it a lot, other than the fact that it has a sticky neck. So I thought I'd go ahead and make a video about that and tell you guys what I do to my guitars and tricks, tricks to get around that. What we're going to do to make our guitars necks slipperier is to guff them up. I'm actually going to take a piece of sandpaper, although I wouldn't really recommend to most guys sandpaper. Scotch-Brite would be probably a little better. But anyway, we're going to scuff the finish on the back. Now, before you go, oh, I'm not doing that to my guitar, remember what we're doing here. We're just scuffing the finish. If you think it's going to devalue your guitar, well, you may not want to do it, but you're not going to take the finish off. What you can do to put the gloss back on there, if you go to sell your guitar, is you just buff it out, buff the shine back on it. Basically, we're going to put a matte finish kind of a thing on there. So here's the science behind it, I guess, if we want to call it the science. Imagine taking your hand, put it on a window, and try sliding your hand down the window, and you get this screech, screech. It doesn't want to go anywhere. It wants to stick. It's because the glass is glass smooth. And so there's no air that gets between your skin and the glass, and that's what causes the friction. Well, it's the same thing on your guitar neck with the super glossy finish on there. It's the same principle. There's no air in between your hand and the finish. So by taking a piece of sandpaper, or as I mentioned, Scotch-Brite, we're going to roughen up that finish. We don't want to take it off. We're just going to roughen it up to where it creates a rougher surface and our hands will slide. I just did it to this guitar, by the way. Before I thought about doing it on the video, I just did it to this guitar a little while ago, and it is 10 times slicker than it was. I normally do this on guitars as soon as I get them, but I just bought this neck a couple of months ago and finished it in a True Oil and installed it on this guitar, my favorite Tele. And I wanted to give it a couple months to cure up really good before I hit it with the sandpaper. Again, I'm using a 400 grit sandpaper here. 400's a little on the rough side. You got to be real careful with it because you can take the finish off pretty quickly with it. What Crook at Crook Guitars recommends is the light gray Scotch-Brite pad, which is about 800 grit, the equivalent to 800 grit. So I like it. I don't mind using the 400. The rougher for me, and I say the rougher, no rougher than this, but I do like the idea of it being a little more rougher than 800 might. I don't know if that would be enough for me. It'd still probably get a little sticky for me. So regardless of whether you use sandpaper or Scotch-Brite, just be careful with the sandpapers so you don't get something too coarse. With that being said, I'll go ahead and tell you what we do here. Just lay your guitar down. Let me try to, I'll have to flip it over upside down so you can see here. Normally I'd have it on my lap laying flat, but you won't be able to see what I'm doing. Here's what we want to watch out for. You may want to tape this off, mask it off. See these lines right here? Yeah, you can see on that camera there. That's real easy to sand through. So is this spot right here. Anywhere there's an edge, it's really easy to sand through that. Let me see if I can get over here. You see that hard edge right there? So that's what you want to watch out for so you don't sand through that. And then just take your, like say, normally I have this laying down flat, and I just kind of start from the center and I work my way forward when it's flat. I'll do it the opposite here because I have the guitar tipped up. So I'm going to start, just before I get to this spot here, just start rubbing back and forth. I'm pretending at this point because I've already done it and I don't want to take any more finish off. So I got my sandpaper, the backside I'm using here. You're just going to go back and forth. For the 400, I don't put much pressure on there at all. I'm just going to go back and forth, making sure I get everything there and knocking off the bright finish. I'm going to take it all the way over to the edge of the neck. I don't want to go past the edge of the neck. Say, here's the edge. I don't want to go here because then I'm going to be taking the finish right off the edge. But I'm going, the neck curves like this. I'm going right to this part here. All right. So I'll take it all the way down. And then I'm going to do the guitar starting in the middle again. I mean, it really doesn't matter. But then I'm going to work my way up the upper half. Do the same thing. Again, it don't take much. It don't take much at all. All you're going to do is just make sure you get all the spots, knock the glossy finish off. That's all we're trying to do. And once you get done with that, it's done. I mean, like I said, it only takes not even a minute worth of sanding really to do it. This guitar neck was pretty sticky. Now it's like 10 times slicker than it was. So that'll solve, for most of you, I guess, the a sticky neck problem. Let's talk about when it gets really sticky, when you're hot and sweaty. I sweat a lot. So here's a couple tricks I use on the gig. First thing I do is I wash my hands before every set. I'm a smoker. I'm a drinker. And so you get the, slobbering off the side of my glass or whatever. I want to make sure I wash my hands good and clean. Otherwise, it's just going to, tar, nicotine, and whatever is going to, get the neck dirty. And then also the sweat. So before every set, I wash my hands. Got to be careful using too much soap. You got to make sure you get soap off because the soap will leave a sticky residue. So if you're going to use soap, which I always use a little bit, but if I use too much, it just feel my hands being sticky. So make sure you get that all out of there. Another thing, after the end of every break, I use a towel and I wipe the back side of the guitar neck down. What I'll do if it's really sweaty and it's really sticky, I'll get one corner or about a third of it or a quarter of the towel wet, damp, not soaking wet, I wring it out. And I'll hit it the backside with that on each break and wipe that sweat and stuff off there. Then I'll take the dry part of the rag, wipe it off with that. I do not hit the strings or the front of the neck with anything. I've done this over the years and I just find it, no matter what I do on there, it kills my strings. So I don't like that. So I wipe them down with my towel. Again, not the wet part. I don't want water on my steel strings. I just wipe them down. I will take the rag and kind of pinch it over the string. And you really won't be able to see what I'm doing here, but I'm just pinching the string with my rag and I'll wipe all the way up. I'll do that on all the strings. But that's as far as I clean that. I change my strings every 3 days when I'm gigging anyway. So when I do change my strings, typically I clean the neck. I use like Windex, spray it on a rag, and then clean down all the frets in between the frets, clean the back of the neck. Again, I use Windex. I've used 409, stuff like that. They tend to leave a sticky residue. So for me, for the household chemicals I use, I find the Windex works the best for me. Once I do that, I'll take a paper towel or an old rag, and I'll spray a shot of lemon pledge on it and wipe down the whole fretboard, front and back. I've used the off-brand stuff. We had a can of some off-brand, pledge kind of thing. It was sticky. It didn't work. So I had to go buy a can of pledge. They do make, of course, at the music store, they sell stuff that you can put on your guitars. That's what it's made for. I've just always used the pledge. All right, so that's how I clean the neck, wash the hands, and then if it's still super hot and you're sticky, you're sweating and what have you, there's other stuff you can use. You've got, again, from the music store, I think it's called Fast Fret, Easy Fret. There's 2 or 3 brands of stuff that you can use, either in a can of spray or a wipe-on swab thing. I've used those, years ago. I used those in the past. What I wind up using now, well, before I tell you what I use now, let me tell you about talcum powder, the other thing. Uh, Baby powder, talcum powder. I've also used the in the pool room of the clubs. They got the white big chunk of chalk. You rub your fingers through that. I've used that. The problem I have with that is it kills my strings really fast. I mean, in a night, it'll kill my strings. I think that the powder just accumulates in the windings of the strings. My fingertips turn black. I just, as much as I've tried it quite a few times, and it just has never really worked for me. I don't like the talcum powder. Again, if you're going to use the fast fret or what have you, I don't spray it on the strings. I've done that before. It's the same principle. You get that stuff, anything inside the windings of the strings, and it's going to affect the way it sounds. So I don't put that on the strings. Nothing on the front. But I have used it on the back. And what I found, somebody about 10 years told me they used WD-40, and I'm like, WD-40, man, that stuff will kill you. I don't know what's in that stuff. Well, I found out a few years ago, I don't know, about 4 years ago or so. It's 99% fish oil. Of course, it could be that last 1% that kills you. I don't know. But I wound up using WD-40, and the one little can lasted me, gosh, 3 years. I still got a half a can. It just seems to last a lot longer than the fast fret, the other stuff that you buy. And what I did on it was I would just spray a quick little squirt in the palm of my hand, my fretting hand, one quick little squirt, and then I would just rub it into the neck. It's in my palm, so I'm rubbing this way and that way, just rubbing it all over the neck. Again, avoiding getting it onto the front of the neck. And if it was too much, again, I don't want to gum up the strings. I'm going to wipe the excess off with a rag. I used that for, oh gosh, it's been the last 4 years or so. And that is the best I have found. Again, the fast fret spray stuff, it works the same as the WD-40 spray. They all work the same. So if you're leery about using the WD-40, I'm certainly not telling you it's safe. I know it's 99% fish oil, but I don't know what that other 1% is. So if you're worried about chemicals absorbing through your skin, just get the fast fret, easy fret, or whatever that stuff is called, and try that. Yeah. So that's kind of what the things I do to fix my guitars to make the necks less sticky. I've sanded down every neck on every guitar I've ever had. After I learned this years ago, again from Nashville, Don Kelly told me about that. And yeah, I've been doing it ever since. World of difference. My neck is, I say 10 times as slick. It's maybe not 10 times, but it's definitely way slicker than a glossy neck. And then again, for the sweaty nights at the gig, the WD-40 seems to be what I've settled on, the last few years for solving that problem. The main thing is keep your hands as clean as possible, and then wipe down your guitar. Even on the middle of a set when it's really hot and I'm sweating, I keep a rag handy, and I'll just wipe that neck off in between songs to, because it just gets built up. I sweat a lot, so that's what helps. All right, I hope this helped you guys out. Gives you some ideas on how to help you solve the sticky neck problem. I'll see you in the next video.